Welcome back to Sixes and Sevens round 19 review. And when you look back over the cast your eye over the games in the weekend, a lot of the sixes and sevens were the big performers in all teams, in all the teams after Origin. As we spoke about last week, we will not speak about Origin again because the New South Wales team didn't do what we wanted to, but Queensland, well done. So that's enough for Origin. How's my little mate over in the south of France going?
Very good, brother. It's good to see you this morning once again. Gabe, hello. Hello, Gabe.
Hello.
Hello, Gabe.
I'm going well, brother. I thought our review chat was a hit, to be fair. I thought we covered a lot of stuff through Origin. And now, as you just said, Origin's done and dusted, and it's into the back end of the season.
Business end,
and it was
isn't it?
the business end. I thought all the big dogs stood up on the weekend. That was the highlight for me. I had Nico Hines, man of the match. He was in everything. He had several assists. We'll talk about him later. Jerome Hughes, what a player. Without his little mates from Origin. I think he had 4 assists, 2 off kicks, 1 short ball, and that beautiful pass to Bradley. And Tanah Boyd, I want you to touch on him a bit later. You're going to speak about him. And the resemblance of Tommy Dearden, how good he looked on the weekend. And Walshy, he was outstanding coming out of Origin. Been around, obviously, Billy Slater all weekend around that elite energy in Origin. He was something else for the Broncos. Copped a couple of big hits too.
Copped a couple of big hits. I thought the Titans were in the game in patches. They just had little effort areas. I was listening to Cooper Cock commentary. I went to the game yesterday, done some stuff with Ant Mitchell for the Nines Premier League. But took off at halftime, one day at home, back to work today. And it's been a big week on the lawns at Canungra. Been doing the lawns, building a new dog yard. I got my dog back yesterday. Big tank. He went to a training school, all dogs security training. They teach your dogs just behaving, obedience. He went there for 3 weeks over the last school holiday. So he come back. He's done some training. Maybe I need to send myself there for a little bit, or even the young fella.
So he's rebooting. The dog's rebooting.
The dog
what
reboot,
do they teach him? What do they
teach him? Everything,
like,
just like how to walk properly on a lead, especially just out here at the property. Gets in and out, just teaching him those little things like what dogs need to be taught, I guess. And he's a good dog, you know what he's like, but just need to be pulled up a little bit. So all dog security and training, thank you for the help. Got your shirt on here, little plug. But no, as you said, Mitch, I think we speak about the business end, and it's time for big players to step up. And I was sitting there yesterday and we were talking about Penrith. They're fifth or sixth on the ladder after the live ladder yesterday when I was talking about they were fifth. Broncos win last night, so they'll go to 6 on 23. And Panthers on 23. Broncos will go to 24. So I'm sitting 6th on the ladder.
Unbelievable. Broncos and Penrith, who would have thought? But they're every chance of being there again, aren't they, the way they're playing? Isaac Tago.
They'll be there for sure. They'll be there at the back end of the year. Who knows where they'll finish? And we will touch on the Warriors. I thought Warriors would be a team that would be a team for the bottom 8. Warriors would be a team to chase. But they won. They had a great win on the weekend. Let's dive into the footy. First game of the weekend was the Sharks 24 over the Dolphins 12. I picked the Dolphins in this one, I think it was. I thought they would have... No, did I?
Who was our cheddars? I can't remember. Who was the cheddar on the weekend? Who was my cheddar, Gabe?
My cheddar was Panthers.
Yep. Your cheddar was Panthers, and Toddy's cheddar, yours was the Dogs, Mitch.
Yeah, win-win. Bang, boys.
Tick. Yeah.
Fair handshake.
But I don't remember who
was shaking your hand.
I tipped the Dolphins. I was wrong.
Can we just say, Toddy's on a bit earlier this morning. It's 5:30 a.m. Jeez, but you look like you've had about 18 coffees. This is the most upbeat I've seen you. Like, can you talk to us about just before we go into the footy? What was your morning routine? Because I want some of it.
My morning routine this morning.
You didn't have a little relapse, did you? Because you're buzzing.
No, I didn't have a relapse. Imagine that, yeah. Imagine that. The back page of the paper, Todd Carty has a relapse on his podcast.
Hey, you got to be careful. You got to be careful on here, don't we?
You do be careful. No, this morning I got up at 5, just to do some notes. And when I was on the walk, a guy gave me a tip just around. I have these 4 gummies in the morning. They're collagen gummies, and they're not those gummies. And
those gummies wouldn't be making you upbeat if you're falling asleep on those gummies.
Before I finish the show, I'll show you my morning routine of what I have when I get up.
Perfect.
Bit of insight for the fans. Yeah, a bit of insight for the listeners, the ones that, because hey, it's Monday morning here, and it wouldn't be a real good day if I fucking jumped off the wagon on a Monday morning. That's for sure.
Hey. All respect here. I can feel your energy through the screen. So come at me.
For the blokes that do want to reboot, get us up. No, but we are talking about the footy. Sharkies over the Dolphins. As you said before, Nicho Hynes was really good on the weekend. I thought Braden Brayley has been outstanding. I don't know if he's had the trigger to sell him to run when he gets – obviously all good hookers run when you get a quick play the ball, but he's been enormous around the ruck, and there's talk that they're going to lock him there for life till 2029 or something, but also there's talk now that he might be a chance of an Origin smoky for next year for the Origin series. Obviously, it's easy to talk about Origin spots when New South Wales didn't win the series, but I thought he's been great for him.
Ross's gone.
Yeah. I thought he's been really good. Nicho, he was good on the weekend. He had his hand in a few tries, scored a try himself. Scored 2 tries, sorry. He had that run mentality, but run close to the ruck, not outside of the ruck, which is a big body. He's hard to handle.
Yeah, I agree with you. He looks that short side raid early, as you said, and then that last try was it's a bit of Tom Dearden, wasn't it, in Origin, especially that last try. Show and go. Like you said, he's got a big body. He's tall and rangy. That's his style of footy, isn't it? Not run for the sake of it, run at the right times with shape. We said that all the time, but he played great on the weekend. Farmworth's try was one of the tries of the year, I reckon.
Yeah, free.
It was he's as I've said before, he's my opinion, he's the most underrated player in the comp. Breaks through the line, hits Donahue, and then gets the ball back. It was
forward pass, you reckon?
Nah. Let's not take it away from him. Let's not take it away from him, bro. Let's not belittle.
Don't be controversial on here, mate. Yeah. Do not be controversial.
Yeah. I thought Cronulla. Is Cronulla back, Toddy? That's probably the biggest summary of that game. I thought everything stuck for him. We've seen this in periods. Start of the year, Trindle and Nicho have had plenty of big games, big impacts. It's been a flat period for the Sharks. Nicho finds some form on the weekend. He had the hair back. You could tell he was loving it and he was feeling good. When Nicho feels good, he plays good and the team plays good. Is this the Sharks back, or was it just one of those nights?
There's definitely a degree of yes to go away and say yes, they're back. Obviously, Dolphins have been tracking along really well. They need to be back because that bottom end of the ladder, there's like 4 or 5 teams that are all fighting for that 8th spot. There's the Roosters, the Dragons, the Sharks, the Dolphins. So there's a few teams there toiling with that bottom positions, the Broncos. So them teams are obviously in the battle to make the 8. I don't know if they lay many punches if they make finals, unless they get a big improvement. But at the end of the day, the Sharks will always be a threat because what they can do on their day. But they showed on the weekend that they've still got fight in them. I reckon I'll tell you this week if they're back or not. I'm not sure who they play, but they need to back it up. They need to back it up consistently, and they need to continue to do that. And
Sharks got Roosters,
which is to say, there you go, a massive game. But the thing is, for me, is when we talk about it, and the good thing is about this stuff is that we'd be critical of Nicho, but then also when he plays a big performance, it shows what he does for that group of players. Because you're sitting on the other side now, and I'm sure other podcasts that are jumping on this morning would be sitting there going, are the Sharks back? All on the back of Nicho's performance. So Nicho can build those performances and get better and better on each performance. Sharks become a threat because Nicho Hynes only a few years ago was a Dalian player, was an Origin player. He signed a massive deal. So if he can show that form that when he got that contract and the things he done that year, Sharks did become a definite threat, that's for sure. But it's about how he continues to build on that and get better. And I was about to ask you before when you spoke about very Dearden like the things he's done on the weekend. Were you a player that watched games over a weekend and not copied but tried to simulate thing other players done that didn't look easy, but also it's like, well, maybe I can introduce that to my game and I might get joy out of it?
Yeah, definitely. I think we all do. Like, you'd say the same thing. I think I only saw, Nath Cleary speaking about it recently, that he watches Katoa's tempo, and we all watch each other. All the interviews we've had with Adam Reynolds and all the boys. Every half, I think you watch other people or the trend at the time. So there's no doubt Nico's probably watched Dearden and what was effective in an Origin game, those short side raids, close to the line, show and goes. And he's sometimes as a half when you're sort of in shit form, you just, seeing someone else do something that you do well allows you just to narrow your focus back to what's important, isn't it? And for Nicho, he's probably maybe found a little golden egg off. Who knows? We're just making it up that he watched Dearden. He might not even watch the game. But clearly, from the way he... Yeah, well, clearly from the way he played on the weekend, when he's got shape around him and he thinks run, show and go, working at that metre inside the defender, and he brings on his running game and he's got nice rangy show and go, that's his style. So he definitely built his game on the weekend around that. And the long ball at the end there, I think it was to Katoa on the wing. That's an example of thinking short to run, and then that long ball just comes naturally. So think run first, show and go. But that's Nicho's style. Don't run for the sake of it. Run at the right times, Toddy.
Yes, that's correct. Very correct. And you talk about watching highlights. I watch my highlights from back in the day when I'm feeling a little bit down and dark.
Still now?
Yeah, I love to show Lime what his dad got up to.
Yeah,
but you did touch on something for Isaiah Katoa. I was actually messaging him the other day when you sent me the clip of him doing the tempo. And I said, I messaged him, I said, it's good to see that there's a method to the madness, that you can actually translate that, what you're doing in a small-sided game, which is another good thing for kids. At watching at home, if Gabe can put this clip up on our page this week of Katoa doing his stop-start, looking in and playing out, and he's been doing it when he plays. So I messaged him, had a laugh about it, and he just said, I just try and having a muck around. But that mucking around translates to the field, and it actually makes him a dangerous player just doing those little small-sided drills.
How good was the clip? And it's his tempo, isn't it? We talk about tempo and skills and repetition. It's the way he passes, isn't it? He can play off both feet. He's got great balance, great eyes, great vision. So, is he going to get on the podcast? He said he might jump on with the boys. Is that correct?
Yeah, hopefully. We've got to work out how we do it, because obviously, as we said, we're sixes and sevens. We need you on there. If we can maybe get you on the screen, the room, to ask your obviously questions. I think they're valid that we bounce off each other. I was actually I've done some work with a young kid last week. He's only 12. He just made the Queensland under 12s team. He's a young half, and like always, I always ask the young kids before I start, just to get a understanding of what they're like. I ask them what their biggest strengths are and what their biggest weaknesses are. And he was quite honest, this young kid, and we went out and, similar to stuff me and you always teach, or what you've seen me do at school, all the stuff is in like a small area. So because they're all judged on what they do in that direct part. A lot of young kids go sideways. So a lot of the stuff we're doing is about just going direct. And just trying to get them to understand that you're judged on what you do with the ball, not what anyone else does on the outside here. It was interesting, and I took a lot away from what you talk about, but also what we talk about on here about players playing north, south and direct, and that you've got options. If you've got options inside, you've got options outside. And then for a young kid at 12, I didn't want to even bother talking about out the back, but giving him his two options, either inside or outside, or cross play to square up and run. It was really good for us that what we speak about it now translated into one of my training sessions, which was so cool.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it's so true what you're saying. All those little basics, you just can't do enough of it, can you? And Katoa, if you're a young half, everyone keeps giving Katoa raps, but that clip that you're about to put up, or Gabe's just put up, watch that, study that, watch his eyes, watch his coordination with his feet and his legs, and eventually when we get him on this podcast, I'm sure he'll give us an insight on how much repetition it takes to learn those skills. But all the halves on the weekend we spoke about, they're doing a pretty fucking good job at it. And Nico on the weekend, I thought Nico got back to what he does well, run first with shape. I'll tell you what he did. There was a play when Will Kennedy broke the line on the kick return, and Nico he ended up dropping the ball. It was off your man Brayley out of dummy half. He should have scored, Nico, but he dropped the ball. But he had his hand in about 3 plays on that set. Over the advantage line, I think he played short to Trindle. He doubled up again, then he doubled up again, pushing for his hooker out of dummy half, and he ended up having an error. But that's Nico. He's got natural feel of quick play of the balls. The long ball will come naturally once he's done all the other work when he worries about his own game. But I do hope for Cronulla's sake that they do jump on the back of his form on the weekend. They're too good not to have a real crack at it this year, and they've been in a shithole the last couple of weeks. The last month hasn't been great for them, but let's just hope that they found a little groove after the weekend.
Well, something you just said there, you said you hope the Cronulla players jump on the back of Nico's form. Maybe it could be translated to the Cronulla form Nico jumped on the back of, because the plays you spoke about then was that they were on the front foot a lot, and watching the game they were on the front foot a lot against the Dolphins, and it's probably indicated why Nico played well. So it's probably for both. Obviously, Nico's not a one-man band, but it's a discussion to go, okay, well, why did we bring Nico into the game, or why did Nico play his best game of football, and identify that, but then also put in the other pieces around that of how we actually consistently get that for Nico, or how we consistently get that for Cronulla, because that's the recipe for them to move forward, to continue to find wins, but also play finals football. We'll have a look at the top 8 and the ladder at the end of the show and see where we're thinking and what our thoughts are. Our next game of the weekend was Newcastle Knights 14, the Melbourne Storm 32. It was going to be a tough afternoon for the Newcastle Knights when Jerome Hughes' eyes were set, ready to go. And from the kickoff to the final whistle, Jerome Hughes was in everything. 4 try assists, 2 off kicks, 1 off a short pass and 1 off a long ball. When they're in that sort of mood, the Melbourne Storm, they're difficult to beat. I know the first sort of 20, 30 minutes was not Melbourne Storm-like, but in that small period, they just turned it on against the Newcastle Knights, and the Knights didn't have many answers. They try hard, the Knights. It's just hard to run down a team like the Storm.
Yeah, I thought Storm started really slow. When I say slow, I thought it was clunky. Obviously, Munster out, Pappenhausen out, so they lost a fair bit of their spine. It wasn't till Hughes' first try off that kick. Was it Katoa when he scored, untouched? It wasn't until then that Katoa. That was a weird defence from the Knights there. I don't really know what was going on. It was almost like the escorts, when we say escorts, the defenders on the kick both went to the outside and left Katoa just a straight line. It was really weird. You don't see that very often. But after that, they found their groove. As you said, Hughes was outstanding, just single-handedly dominated the game pretty much after that 20-minute period. Trent Liero, 2 tries. Katoa, 2 tries. For the Knights, Dom Young had a huge game. He got two tries. I think he set up another one with a little offload on the inside that ricocheted. Had a try-saving tackle on, I think it was Katoa as well, off a line break. Dylan Lucas, huge news for the Knights. They now got KP and him out with Liz Frank. So that's massive for their chances for the back end of the year. But yeah, Melbourne just too good. As you said, I thought Knights actually competed quite well early. But yeah, it was all Jerome Hughes, really. Jerome Hughes. And I thought the Rep boys
tries for fun.
Katoa, but it's all off Jerome, isn't it? Well, he's doing it himself off kicks, but it's all Jerome Hughes. He's got his man out there on the right. He's got the kicking game. He's got the long balls. And Bradley out there, outside back Bradley. Geez, he's a good player.
Mate, he's so good. He's a kick threat. Every time he plays, he gets it. Anderson's been good for him. Guys going the Broncos. I just want to give a rap to all the Origin players that played last week. Every player that backed up and played this weekend, their performance was top notch. So it goes to show that when you are the cream of the crop, when you back up, and it showed on the weekend. But yeah, Jerome Hughes was my standout of the weekend.
Unbelievable. He's the standout every week. I know we just keep harping on about. We're on a halves mood this morning. We're just going to blow up the arse of all the great halves in the game, but it's warranted. You know, you can't not rap Jerome Hughes. Like, honestly, he's the best player in the comp.
Yeah,
I've gone off our man Nath just for a little bit, and I'm going on to Jerome. I love them both just as much, but I'm just going to flavour of the week. I'm going back to Jerome just for the week.
Well, Nath was also good the other night too. So
we'll get to him soon. He's the man. We love Nath, but that's how highly you can speak about Jerome Hughes.
Is he actually the best player in the comp?
I think he's consistently Nath. We're talking about the best sevens in the game. Nath clearly is the best seven in the game, best player in the game. But I probably said that in the fact that he's not far off Nathan. He's not far off Nathan. And over consistency, like for at least 3-4 years now, he's top four, 5 players in the comp.
Well, he was Dalian medalist last year, wasn't he?
He was best player in the comp last year, voted on. It's a hard argument because I think when we talk about the best halves and then around Origin time, we talk about Mitch Moses, Nath Cleary. Jerome he gets forgotten a little bit just in these conversations. And he gets forgotten
in a lot of conversations because at the moment Australia's dominant. So when New Zealand was dominant, obviously on the back of Benji, on the back of Sean Johnson, sometimes on the back of Stacey Jones, New Zealand hasn't been dominant so much when Jerome's been at the helm in the international level. So he gets forgotten about because obviously Origin, you talk about all these players, but if he was playing Origin and he was playing for Australia, obviously then he'd have to be picked in those teams. But he does forgotten about the conversation because a lot of players do. Like you talk about the best back rowers, Katoa, he doesn't get many mentions either. But he's playing his skin out nearly every week. His effort areas are massive. His kick chase, his line running, his defensive efforts. But when you're not in the Origin arena, you sort of get left alone because you're in that international scene. But yeah, Jerome Hughes he's consistent even when the Melbourne Storm are poor, and that's very rarely that they're poor. But he also seems to step up when blokes like Pappenhausen, when Munster are away. The good thing with the Melbourne Storm that I've noticed is, and we always have discussions about teams when they lose their starting half or just through resting him or injury, that the team goes poor. Melbourne on the other side, when they have players come in, they actually sometimes play better. Yeah. Or their main players like Jerome Hughes stands up and plays better. It's like that extra weight in his shoulders, which goes to show for me is that if I was a team that had the money in their war chest, I would go for a Jerome Hughes because, yes, I know he plays well in that system, but I think he'd be also great outside the Melbourne system at a struggling club because
it's his ruck recognition, isn't it? And as you said, that would go well in any system. That try, I think it was Trent Liero when he put him over, when he does it all the time, just going over your Vans line at the post.
Just goes hard. Beelines for the defender and makes him bite. If he doesn't bite, he runs himself. If he bites, he passes. That's so simple.
But as we know, it's simple, but there's more to it, isn't there? Like there's a natural game feel, and if it was that simple, all these halves would be doing it at the right time, and they don't usually. So he's got great recognition.
He would identify someone that he's going at. Like that person he put Trent Liero on the outside, he would have knew probably two tackles before, I'm going to come at you. If I can get to play the ball here, and he would have tipped up Liero probably 2 plays before. If I can get back to a quick play the ball around 50, I'm going to go hard at him. I know from his video this week that if someone goes hard at him, he'll bite on me. And you see it unfold. You see him go across that way, then come back to the open and then punch outside that defender that he would have went at. And the rest is history. They score. But he does that a lot.
That ruck.
And that's why he scores a lot too because, he's got 2 options, pass or run.
Yeah, and they all are, aren't they? Pappenhausen's is great at it, Munster as well. But, you spoke before about Melbourne and how they're just consistently, whether they've got players out or not, they always just have effort and consistency in the effort areas. It's a good argument because majority of the teams struggle. The bottom half of the comp struggle to just, I reckon a lot of their week to week, it's a lot of effort for their coach to get a baseline of effort and 1%ers. And people might listen and go, that's ridiculous. It's professional sport. But it's actually harder said than done. And that's why these top sides and why Melbourne are so effective is that every week, regardless who's in, even if you take out some of their senior players and that dynamics, like you just said, they still get the same effort. They might not have the polish on top as much, the cream on the top with the classier players, but the effort's always there. It's worth noting because I've played in sides. When I went to Newcastle from Roosters, where Roosters was majority of the time in that same sort of space when we had big teams where every week you might not be at your best, but defensively and effort-wise, people always turned up. When you go to a side that's sort of, your Tigers, Titans, Dragons, I reckon it's a big ask week to week for them to get and maintain that main effort just to be in the fight to then add the polish defensively. So it's such a huge thing for Melbourne, and you wonder why. People have been trying to work it out for 25 years. How does Bellamy get them up week after week just through the fight and competitiveness, through fatigue, through injuries, through rep footy? He just gets them up. It's mind-blowing.
I had a conversation about this when the Titans blew Manly off the park up here at the Gold Coast about 5 weeks ago, it would have been. Manly were full strength, coming up to play the Titans on a Sunday afternoon, I think it was, or a Saturday afternoon. Everyone tipped Manly. Titans come out. So after the game, we obviously broke down the game of what we thought went on in Triple M. And all I could speak about was the line speed and kick chase of the Titans. That was the difference. And then that seems so simple. And some of the question was back to me, well, why can't they do that every week? They're rugby league players. Well, that's the thing. Well, it's hard to do every week for some teams. For the top teams, some teams have got always fast line speed and good kick chase. But that comes down to one, systems maybe, but also effort. I think the kick chase one's effort. And I was listening to Cooper Cronk's commentary last night about the Titans. Sometimes they have good kick chase and sometimes they just decide not to. But that was a massive one. So then when you're talking about that is that the dominant teams have the good kick chase, have the good line speed, build pressure through your defence. Everyone just thinks, build pressure through attack and you've got to win the game. If you flip it the other way and build pressure in defence and put the other team under pressure so they can't attack, you get more joy out of it because you're changing the way.
It's funny he was talking about, as we were just speaking about the difference between top sides and bottom sides. James Graham, I saw something pop up on socials today from the Buy Round podcast. He spoke about Dragons. And he said they're consistent, the Dragons, but they're consistently average. Yeah,
well, this is the debate. This is the conversation we spoke about the other week. Are some teams just where they need to be?
And that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Should we not speak about him in any other light other than, okay, they're sitting 10th, and that's where they're going to be, happy with 10th?
Well, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I think it goes on the back of what we spoke about that defensive effort. The top sides just... whether it's the players, the coaches, or just the type of dynamics with the personalities they got, they just find a way to be a really consistent top shelf club. And then these bottom sides find a way to, year after year, just be consistently average. I just love the way James Graham put it, because it made me go, you know what, that's fucking true. Because every time, and now we're in this space where we come on here and give opinions on football every week, it comes to the top a little bit more, because we're actually identifying and analysing and critiquing game after game. And you feel like you're a broken record sometimes saying the same things about the bottom sides. Why isn't there effort? Why isn't the one week to the next the same performance? I like it. James Graham. Some of these teams are consistently average. The key for those clubs is to find the next gear to get to the next level, but sometimes you just got to say it how it is, and I liked what he said.
The third game of the weekend was the Dragons 24, the Roosters 31. The Roosters, welcome back Sammy Walker for the first time this year. Obviously, he was tipped to return 6 weeks ago, then broke his thumb. I thought he was as we spoke about this before the game, that if his big massive performance would warrant to get him on our show. Obviously, we've had a pre-recorded one. I thought Sammy Walker he showed good glimpses. He showed that it will take some time to get used to the way Sammy plays for some of the players. But I thought in the 10 minutes that he went off, when he had his sin bin, Hugo Zavala stepped up and they laid on a try and actually got back in front. It was a stop-start game for both teams, but Roosters held off a fast-finishing Dragons. I thought the Dragons had plenty of chances. They just didn't ice some bigger plays. But the Roosters, they were good. They needed to win. Both teams needed to win, and one of them had to come out a winner, and it was the Roosters.
Yeah, I thought early the Roosters, it was 18-all after 20 minutes, wasn't it? I think it was about 20 minutes. And then Sammy Walker obviously had that field goal to go to 19, but both teams defensively were pretty average early. It was just an all-out attack sort of style of footy. It was a tackathon.
And it was good attack. It was crisp.
Walker made a big difference. Yeah, Walks is, had the field goal, the short ball to Billy Smith there. He had his hand in, his short kicking game was outstanding again. They've missed that in big games. How far they're going to go this year will come down to that short kicking game of Sam Walker, I think. They've obviously got the length of the kick now there with Hugo Savala. He's been putting some really good kicks to Marky Mark and Toops and that type of stuff. But I think the combination with him and now Sammy's short Alfie Langer type kicks at the line there is going to bring him plenty of joy over the next, the last 8 weeks of the comp. And Billy Smith and Rob Toyer, I wanted to mention both of them. Rob Toyer backing up from Origin. But Billy Smith, he's a fucking good player. He's had heaps of injuries. Obviously gone through hell probably, not being able to play, back-to-back knee problems. It would have been some dark days, I reckon, for him, and he had such big hype on him from the start coming out of school, and he's now playing a lot of consistent footy, and I reckon he's a future rep player. If Shibasaki and these guys have started to make their name in Origin, I think with the back-to-back seasons and a couple of good years at the Roosters, I reckon he's a chance to play for the Blues. He's got that
Daniel
sort of
Tupou
big
gets
game.
Another double.
Toops, what's he ranked, Gabe, as far as top try scorer at the Roosters there? He's the most capped player.
He'll get it this year.
Most capped that tries ever? Or most capped player? Both.
Both.
Most try scores for the Roosters likely. I'll double check some stats for you, but yeah.
I think he's close to most capped ever as well. Take over Jarrett. And plus top try scorer. What a freak. Absolute legend. And
did you see the passes Marky Mark was throwing? The flick passes?
Yeah, he's
Bro, he's different.
The pass I love more than anyone was Teddy's play. We spoke before about Jerome Hughes getting over the advantage line. And as a fullback, do you see that doubles play, the one I used to love, where he just went quick play the ball over the advantage line? I think he
hit Radley.
Hit Rads under the post.
To score, to win the game. Yeah, to finish off the game.
The double leads there at the end there. So I love that play. And talk about ruck recognition. We spoke about Jerome Hughes, and they're obviously most of those guys that are in that position, 7 and 6, are the ruck recognition guys. But Teddy's as good as all of them at it. Speed, power. If he doesn't run, now he's adding that genuine leads coming off him, punching into holes. It's fucking good to watch.
I like what you said about Sammy Walker. If the Roosters to go deep into the finals or even have a chance of playing finals, will be on the back of Sammy Walker. And while some people sit and watch the game on the weekend and say, he wasn't great, but he come up with big moments, big opportunities. The short pass was a big one. Sort of going back and forth, lays on a short pass. He's been playing out the back a little bit wider. Hits Billy Smith short. The next one was the little grubbers in beyond the line, obviously the field goal, but just the bigger plays as he gets his groove. He's just a defender's nightmare because you don't know if he's going to run. He's got little neat kicks, so you have to steady yourself a little bit, and you have to steady yourself because he plays short. So that kick option is also an option to play short. So he's going like he's kicking, but then he passes a little depth, tip on. So he's been really good. He was good on the weekend, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he continues to go on in the back end of the year. This combination with Hugo, obviously Teddy, and Connor Watson around the ruck. I thought Connor Watson was really good. He opens up the field for the Roosters. Any quick play the ball, he goes. Sometimes looks a little bit unsure of where he's going, but that actually makes the defensive line unsure of themselves. And then what happens after that, if it's a quicker play the ball with him or a big fella goes on the back of it, it creates a little bit of momentum with the chaos he causes when he runs, because he does do a bit of a stop-start.
He does. He creates chaos, doesn't he? It's probably the best way to put it with Connor. He could play.
He creates chaos, but he knows what he's doing. But
chaos.
then it stop-starts. He'll go one way.
I don't think he does, Connor. Yeah. I fucking love him. But that's
obviously
the beauty of him,
isn't it? He's a competitor. That's the thing. He's a competitor, and he'll push and push and creates that chaos. And obviously the players then on the back of that come up with something after. So there's always, when Connor Watson has a dip or something happens, or if he has a crack one way and throws long the other way, it's always creates a little bit of chaos. One chaos from him, but then chaos from what unfolds from it. So I think it's a good fit for him there. The Dragons, obviously we continue to say they're showing glimpses. They're only losing by 6 and 8 points. They're not losing by big margins. I did see on the weekend, Lockie Elias's team went to 9 in a row or something, sitting second on the New South Wales Cup ladder.
Do you reckon he's knocking on the door?
I think he's been knocking on the door for the last 4 weeks, but no one's answering.
It must be out. It must be on holidays.
Knocking on the same door as Lewis Dodd.
Yeah. Just to circle back, you were right about Tupou, who is top try scorer for Roosters. Second is Minicello. 155 tries.
Wow. Absolute champion.
Move on to the next game of the weekend. Was the Bulldogs 12 over the Cowboys 8 in a tight victory. Obviously, the big admission of this game was Lockie Galvin didn't feature in the 17, which is a massive call from Serraldo, but the team that had got them to where they are on the ladder is the team that took place on the weekend. And obviously, it raised some eyebrows and some question marks on the decision for Lockie to leave the Tigers to go to the Bulldogs. Raised concerns, but obviously the coach had a decision to make, and it would have been a tough decision, I'm sure. But I'm sure they would have explained to Lockie why, and it'd be interesting to see how he finds his way back into the team. What's it look like moving forward? Because also Crichton didn't play, Kurt Mann didn't play, so there's still them 2 players will go back into that fold. So it'd be interesting to see where he finds himself over the next few weeks, Lockie Galvin. But well done to the Doggies getting a win. It was a win they needed. They've been under some pressure, and then also the Cowboys did put them under some pressure on the weekend. And the hit of the year was Tommy Dearden on big kick out.
What about that free hit? Yeah, it was a great game of footy. Absolute arm wrestle. 5 line breaks to 2 from the Cowboys. The Dogs scrambled their asses off. I thought Cowboys had every chance to win the game there. It was the Dogs' defence in the end that held up strong. Both teams moved the ball really well. A lot of the tries came from really nice ball movement from both teams. And Cowboys, first time they've held a side to 2 tries this year defensively. So it's about time.
And not win.
They've been and not win even. Fuck, not even a reward. Not even a reward for it. But, I think it's the best game the Cowboys have played, I reckon, all year, especially against the Dogs. And to answer your Sexton Galvin dilemma, I thought it worked well for him. Burton played a lot better. I think Burton, when Sexton's with Burton, he plays better with him at this point in time. I think Galvin eventually is going to surpass a lot of them. I actually ran into Robbie Farah today, Toddy.
Where at?
In Perpignan.
What was he doing?
He's over here. He was up Cairns, Saint-Tropez way, and he's off to Bay Ritz to catch up with a few people, but he's doing a bit of work stuff. I think he's flying, Robbie, but it was good to have. I had a coffee with him. So the reason I brought it up, though, because we were talking about Galvin today, and he spoke about how much of a rap. He said when he first watched him play as a kid, he was the best player he's ever seen at that age. He goes, he was blown away with how good he was. So I just thought that was worth noting, and it triggered me and reminded me that I had the coffee this morning. We had the chat about Galvin. So there's no doubt Galvin's going to find his way and be that dominant player at the Dogs in the next few years. That's why they've signed him. All this shit talk about is he worth it? That's all white noise. But I think for the present moment where the team's at, Sexton's got to be the half till the end of the year.
I just might have just taken your advice, Mitch. I've just realised. That's what you were saying the other week. Pick one of them and throw them in there, and then the next week they drop Galvin. They might be listening to 6 and 7s, the Dogs.
I think there's a few people listening.
I tell you what, Gabe, there's a fair few people listening to 6 and 7s. Some good, some bad. Hey, but hey,
that's right.
But we know you're watching and listening.
But yeah, I thought I just think the thing I like about Sexton is exactly what Gabe said. I brought it up the other week, is the fact that they just look calmer when Sexton's there. I think Burton plays better because they're used to that style of footy and they've built their whole year off it. It's just a bit more of a comfort zone for them at the moment. I think we also spoke about a couple of weeks ago that the signing of Galvin long term is going to give them way more X factor and allow them to grow their game with layers. But where they're at the moment, I just think Sexton there, he knows his game. The boys know his voice. He gives the players around him a sense of calmness, where he's at in his career. And Burton plays better off it for some reason. That's my opinion.
Okay, now if you've put your opinion there, I'm going to ask you. So when Serrato took the job at the Bulldogs, he said that there was going to be obviously improvement, and we've seen improvement. Now they're not in their sweet spot because I think there's still more improvement to go for the Dogs, but they're a chance of winning the competition this year with where they are sitting on the ladder. If they don't win the competition this year, Sexton moves on, do they go backwards or forwards?
I think they can go forwards. I think they can go forwards, as I just said.
Do you reckon do you reckon one pre-season is enough for Galvin?
Easy.
I think Galvin back in the same position on the ladder they finish this year.
I think they'll evolve in a different style, but you probably need a pre-season of a guy like Galvin, who's more of a risk taker, who is a bit more flamboyant.
Who needs to improve, Galvin or the team?
Both need to involve with him, and he needs to find his role within that group and with Burton. And that's what I mean. I don't think it's a blight on Galvin's. It's not a blight on Galvin's skill set or how good he is as a player. He's just come into a team that's been flowing in one style, and the boys are used to that. And the puzzle fits better at this present moment with that. When you bring in someone else who's goes out of the box a little bit, asks a few more questions, it can create an erratic style of footy to a team that's very disciplined. And that's what we saw over the last few weeks. On the weekend, they went back to the disciplined, gritty Dogs with their calm halfback. So to answer your question, and 100%, the reason to move forward and evolve, Galvin is the succession plan. Younger legs, probably a bit more flamboyant. If they kept Sexton there 100%, they can still win a comp next year. I've got a massive rap on him. I'm grateful he's coming to the Catalans. But I think Galvin with a pre-season and a new voice is going to be better. I'm
not questioning Sexton here. I'm questioning Galvin.
Well, I'm not questioning Galvin.
Do you think he can handle the number 7 jumper?
Yeah, for sure. I do think, though, as I said, they need a whole pre-season and some teething to work out the teething problems at the start with him there, because I reckon Burton feels more comfortable with a steady 7 inside him. It's going to make Burton have to adapt his role a little bit more when Galvin's at 7 than what he is with Sexton.
So, Mitch, does the Dogs team, everyone but Galvin, do the adjusting, or does Galvin do the adjusting? Because as you're saying, the team plays better.
He just said that. He just said now that Burton has to do the adjusting. I'm only asking this because I've been in the same position before. I see a lot of Galvin in me.
Yes.
I see a lot of me and Galvin. That struggle when there's there's a struggle to the madness and the chaos. So then they lose their head. Obviously, he's a lot younger than me when I decided to go to 7. So I had probably a little bit more of it instilled in me. But what I'm trying to ask you is, Mitch, do you think he's capable of being a number 7 in the NRL? We know he's got the flamboyant. We know he's got the skill. But it's a whole different it's a whole different kettle of fish playing 7 in NRL.
Okay, I'll say it. I'll use Roosters as an example this year then, for an example, and we'll go into detail about it. I think Serraldo's similar in a lot of ways to a Trent Robinson. I think they've got very similar brains. They're that really elite, creative, top-shelf coaches that have got layers to their minds and their coaching style. So I think the way Robbo changed his style this year with the Roosters, with Hugo Savala, and the young crop that they've got was a credit to what Robbo did. If Robbo tried to play Hugo Savala like Cooper Cronk previously, it wouldn't have worked. Robbo's gone, okay, I've got a preseason of young guys. I can play a more flamboyant style. I'll get everyone else to react and play more as instinctive and supportive, a little bit more chaos, and play that type of style and get everyone on board with it. And then you see a different style of footy that works. What works, where if you play, as I just said, they need time because at the moment, Galvin's come in and unsettled it because he has got that erratic edge to him. It throws Burton off a bit and it throws everyone else off. It throws off the well-oiled machine and that disciplined style that they've been playing. And that's why I said if they do a whole preseason with Galvin there at 7 and say, you're our man, but him and Gus come up with a plan that's going to suit his style and everyone else around them opens their game up, I think we'll see a better Dogs side. You just asked me if they don't win the comp this year, can they be better? I think they can. If they can maintain that defence and then add the flamboyance with Galvin in there, but everyone else on board with it, you'll see a less predictable dog side. We might see a better attacking side that can score more points and they can hold the defensive systems. They'll be a better side. Does that make sense?
It does, Mitch. It does.
But to answer your question short term, style definitely makes them more erratic at this point in time, and that's why they stick with our man Sexton till the end of the year, and it worked on the weekend.
So when they stick with your man Sexton, does Lockie Galvin go back and play reserve grade?
If that has to be the case, yeah, maybe. I don't think that'll worry them. Yeah. I don't think they're going to try and people please. I don't think they're going to people please Galvin and their run home for 8 weeks when he's a 19-year-old kid. There'll be an honest conversation. He's just signed for 4 years on good coin, and he's there. They've showed they love him. So if he's to play reserve grade and just play his part in a squad this year, I reckon that there'll be those discussions for sure. I reckon they'll be having those discussions if that was what was best for the team.
Our next game of the weekend was the Warriors 34 over the West Tigers 14. And we spoke about, obviously, Luke Metcalf, the devastating injury at the ACL will be missed the remainder of the season. I'm sure all Warriors fans would have been like, oh, shit, our season's done. But in come Tanah Boyd, and I thought Tanah Boyd on the weekend was really good. And it was actually a good – I was a bit the same when you lose Metcalf. It's like, okay, what's next? And obviously Tanah Boyd's been tried and tested at the Titans. I thought he was harshly done by, and sometimes I think it was just on the back of where the Titans are at, which is probably a good time to have this discussion. I don't know if you would have seen it. You probably would have seen it over the weekend, Mitch. Not that we really listened to any or read comments in the paper, but I did come across something that the top 4 teams at the moment are all ex-Titans players. So the Raiders, Jamal Fogarty, the Bulldogs, Toby Sexton, the Melbourne Storm, Jerome Hughes.
Fuck yeah, Jerome Hughes.
Who's at 4th? Oh, the Warriors, Tanah Boyd.
Raiders, Storm, Dogs, Warriors.
Yeah. And Tanah Boyd, obviously, after being playing on the weekend, was the other half that the Titans had let go. All in the top 4 starting halfbacks in the teams that they moved on to.
I think we don't want to keep kicking those bottom sides, but it's like the Tigers, isn't it? Mitch Moses, Tedesco, all these boys, all these guys go on to other clubs and end up playing better. So if you're a Titans and Tigers fan and these type of guys have lost all these type of players that go on and win comps or playing the best teams, will you be kicking yourself? But I don't really know how to answer your question there.
I'm not answering the question. Stat. I'm just saying a stat. I don't need to answer a question. I was just stating the stat that I read on the weekend. As you know, you don't believe everything you read in the papers, do you? But I was just saying it. I was just saying a stat, and I was on the back of Tanah Boyd's performance on the weekend. We speak about where at the start of the year, when the Warriors had concerns, they were playing very lateral. But then they went to that north-south style of football. What Tanah Boyd does for that team is he's very north-south because he doesn't overly have the ability to get across the field, dropping blokes under, going sideways. He plays very direct and very, very controlled, is what I'm trying to say. And you look at it, back at over their tries on the weekend, if any of the 6 and 7s listeners or viewers want to have a look at what we're talking about, have a look at the first and the last pass of when Tanah Boyd goes direct. It creates the tries on the outside. It creates space for his outside runners, but also stops the defensive line from moving because he goes so direct. And one, they haven't seen him this year. They've seen him play reserve grade, and he's been doing that in the New South Wales Cup, playing that very direct football. So they would have said in video, Tanah Boyd, this is what we're going to have to handle first because he's got the ability to play short. He's a stocker, he can run. But on the weekend, he made his options really well, and I thought on the back of that, it freed up the outside men like Tavita Harris. I thought Aaron Clark on the weekend played very similar to the way Tanah Boyd plays, very direct. He went there once, was a beautiful try from Harris. He got a nice off the ruck. Ethan Clark went direct, had a lead runner. Harris just jumped in out the back, which just showed that they're playing very direct, that north-south football. And they were very good on the weekend, the Warriors.
Yeah, they were outstanding. Like you said, Tanah Boyd, we spoke about it during the game and then also pre-show that it looked a bit like a bit of a Dearden. You spoke about us halves and players in the NRL. Do they watch big games and players in their positions and sort of try and model or take qualities out of them? And Dearden was player of the match on the Wednesday, and as we said, Nico looked similar to him in some ways, and I thought Tanah Boyd resembled a fair bit of Dearden on the weekend. And if there's one player that he's going to resemble and you want to model your game and keep developing, I reckon Tanah Boyd should watch a Dearden because he's got that similar frame. He's a stocky little fella. He takes the line on. He's a tough little player. I thought he played the full field really well. I wanted to highlight Ika Halasima's try, the in and away to the one
on the wing.
In and away, one arm fend like Jonah Lomu. He had about half a metre to work in. That was fucking unbelievable. I like that. And I thought Dewey on the losing side was outstanding. I love Dewey as a player, Adam Dewey. I think he's so underrated. He's been a great.
He's definitely a player that the Tigers need to lock up.
He's off contract.
Yeah, I know, but that's the sign he's a player that they need to lock up.
Yeah, I know, but where are they going to play him? 6? Week to week, you reckon? Like if he's to re-sign, is he their 6?
Who's their 6? It depends if Jerome Buller leaves. If Jerome Buller leaves, you're playing 1.
And he can play centre too.
He can fill plenty of positions. That's the thing.
But he was outstanding. Warriors too big, too strong in the end, and I don't know. I got a bit of hope from the Tigers the week before against the Chooks, and then just defensively, mate. They're just not in the arm wrestle, are they? The poor old Tigers, especially against the Warriors side. It's hard to win there against the home. You're going against the whole of New Zealand there. You got a tidal away. We know how hard it is to travel there, and the size of the Warriors pack you just spoke about, Ika Halasima's power and strength. You could probably say 5 or 6 of this. About 5 or 6 of their players. I've just stumbled. You could probably say the same thing about 5 or 6 of their players about their power and speed and footwork. And when the Tigers turn up, at 60% defensively, they can't compete physically the way that they defend, especially around the ruck. So too good the Warriors, and Tanah Boyd, player of the game from me and Toddy. I think he was our man of the match and one of the players of the round.
Yeah, I think he was one of the players around. Obviously, hasn't been in first grade for a long time. Gets an opportunity after the devastating loss and comes out and performs. And it gives hope to the Warriors, I reckon. It changes the way they play a little bit. Obviously, Lukey Metcalf was probably a little bit more ad-lib and sort of come out and play off the cuff a little bit. But I reckon it gives them a bit of a steady control going into the back end of the season. And they'll win more games on the back of that. Obviously...
How old's Tanah Boyd, Toddy?
You've got me there. It'd be late.
Because I was just
late 20s.
late 20s.
24.
Oh, really?
24.
Yeah,
Just when
wow.
2000.
Just when you're talking there, because obviously Dearden's what? How old's Dearden? Mid-20s, late 20s? All I'm saying is some of these players that are, especially smaller
He's
body
24
type.
too.
Yeah, right. But players like that, those halves that come in smaller body types, you know, he's a gun schoolboys player. He comes in as a smaller body and some of his game gets exposed in his early part of his career. Mate, we could see the best of Tanah Boyd these next 5, 6, 7 years. You know, if you can find
the thing is for him, the thing is for him is now he's going to get an opportunity to showcase what he's got at the back end of the year for the Warriors. Obviously, if they continue to win, they'll play finals. Where they're sitting on the ladder, it will probably warrant that they're going to play finals, even if they were to drop the next 7 games. So for clubs on the outside, I'm not sure how many years he signed for the Warriors, but they'll get an opportunity to see what Tanah Boyd's like on the back of a big pack, on the team that's dominant, on the back of a team that's willing to work for each other. And that's what he hasn't had since he's been in NRL. As you said before, a lot of these kids get touted as the next big thing. They come out of a schoolboy system really well, comes out of and then goes into, obviously, the Titans have had some really poor years through some difficult times, so they get moved on because they're not the answer to pull the Titans out of the hole. So they go elsewhere, which has happened to a few of them blokes. Toby Sexton's the same thing. Weaver's going through it at the same thing at the moment. So it's an opportunity for him to go over there. He probably was sitting there happy, I'll just bide my time here, and if I get an opportunity, now he's got that opportunity. He'll be looking at, and he could take this to go, okay, well, I'm going to relish and go really well. Gets me an opportunity to get eyes on me because I'm going to play finals football. So I'm sure teams looking at 7s or looking for a 7, either here or in the Super League, will be going, okay, now we're going to get a real good look of what Tanah Boyd's about.
He's signed till the end of 2026.
Well, there you go, yeah.
But with the opportunities for halves now, this next 6 years, I'm excited to watch him play. He just looked different on the weekend. He found his niche. He looked good. He just looked full. The first time I've seen him really dominate the full field for any games I watched him in first grade. A lot of the times at Titans, he played just that right edge. Pretty basic, simple style where he played the full field. He looked in control, so excited to watch his growth.
All right, we'll move on to the next game of the weekend. Was my cheddar, the Penrith Panthers 32 over the Parramatta Eels 10. Talking about 6s and 7s. Our great mate Nathan Cleary produced on some big plays on the weekend, but I just want to touch on one particular player, which I'm sure Gabe will be able to get, is that a lot of people have been talking about Nathan, about dropping blokes under and not being a threat for the defence. But on the weekend, he played direct and square in some plays, but then late in the game, he got himself a try. We're going across the field. He went dummy cross, but done a big show, lost the side of the ball. Dummies on the outside and slices through and scores late in the game. But it was just, it was very vintage Nathan Cleary. Something he's been, I reckon, playing for, which will help his game moving in the back end of the year. But the Penrith Panthers, they just continue to get better and surprise people week in, week out. When I was sitting having a discussion yesterday about, I can't believe they're sitting now 6 on the ladder.
Fuck.
Only fucking 5 or 6 weeks ago, we were worried about if they're going to play finals.
They're coming, I'm telling you. They're creating history. I got a feeling they're going to be there in the big dance. I really do. 5th win in a row. Isaac Tago, for me, was player of the match. Nath Cleary, as you just spoke about, that brilliant try. Come off the bench, Nath, the great Nath Cleary. Well-deserved rest after a big Origin series. Came on when it mattered and clinched the game for his team. Dylan Brown started at 9, which was interesting. Bit of a change there. Parramatta had a 10-6 lead after 35 minutes, so it wasn't all one-sided for this game. And then, obviously, it blew out. Special mentions, Tom Jenkins, great individual try. You spoke about him a couple of weeks ago against that Warriors game when they won. He was outstanding.
He's good.
Yeah, and Lindsay Smith, late try. Lomax had a bit of an off day. He would like that try again. Got one himself, which was who was this? I've missed the centre's name that threw him the ball around the corner to Lomax on the right, Gabe.
Is Sean Russell or Bailey Simonson?
I think it was Simonson, mate.
Yeah.
Fuck it. That was a great pass. Lomax scores there, and then he drops an easy one later.
Well, he drops there, and then and then they go down the other field and score. He drops that one over the line, then they go next set. They go up down the field and score the Panthers.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, Penrith, 5 in a row, and as we spoke about last show, they got a good run home. They got a pretty good run home compared to most sides. So there's no doubt they'll be in the top 8. Whether they can finish in the top 4, I think I read somewhere that not many teams have won outside the top 4. How long until they haven't won outside the top 4? Won a comp outside the top 4 for years. Obviously, Penrith's dominance the last few years blocked a lot of that. But if they can get there close enough, and then they're big players in these big games, well, it's going to be a good run home. And yeah, I thought Isaac Tago was outstanding. Jeez, he's a good player. He wouldn't look out of place in Origin. Isaac Tago, smaller body, but great player.
Here you go, Mitch. Only 2 NRL teams have won the grand final after finishing the regular season from outside the top 4.
There you go.
We'll have a look at the top 8, the ladder after we finish. But yeah, the Penrith Panthers continue to press on and stake their claim for a 5th premiership. But they will probably have to do it from the bottom end of the 8. But if there's a team that can do it, it's the Penny Panthers. And they're coming. As Mitch just said, they are coming. They're coming for the top heads. And you'd have to be a brave man to ride them off back end of the year. Our final game, the knock off the weekend, was the local derby, the Brisbane Broncos 26 over the Titans 14. This was a tight one early. 2-all for a big part of the game. Both teams, Broncos were camped down the Titans' end of the field pretty much the whole first half, but couldn't press, couldn't break the lines, couldn't score any points. Titans held on really well. But after half-time, the Broncos went on with it. You touched on Reece Walsh. Obviously, he was in Origin camp last week, would have got a lot of learning experience around Billy. And I thought the way he played on the weekend was... A lot of people have been talking about Reece Walsh. Obviously, at the start of the year, wasn't great, had his injury. And since he's come back from injury, Broncos haven't dropped the game. And his performance are getting better and better. And I think that's a massive positive sign for the Brisbane Broncos, but also Reece Walsh's. And I think that's on the back of the Madge effect. The time and away from playing, but also being around the coaches that they've got there, working on his game. And he's always going to have the individual brilliant stuff. That's Reece Walsh, and that's what everyone loves him and knows him for. But now he's playing tough. He got battered and bruised on the weekend. He puts himself in positions that some fullbacks don't put themselves in. He puts his body on the line, but he's coming up with big plays, and he's playing, what's the word? He's playing within his needs sometimes, which is good for Reece, where a lot of the times he thinks the long pass is the main pass or the flashy play. But I see a different Reece Walsh, and it's a positive one because he's getting better and better with it. He's just not trying to blow everyone off the park. He's playing the long game.
You know what I love about the Broncos, and when we spoke about at the start of the year when they were clunky when Walsh was playing, they had Ben Hunt and Renault sort of split from the middle of the field, playing left and right. Walsh was struggling to sort of find where he belonged. You've seen a lot of that. Obviously, Ben Towdy try where he scored off the double lead that we used to love running with our great mate Boydie Corner there, outside in with 2 middles. They're running a lot of 70% shifts, and to the footy fans, that's that scrum line area or just outside post, the 60% area. They're either playing a drop for a block shape with Ezra always at the 2 pass, or they're playing a doubles lead.
That double lead.
With the same, and Ezra and Walsh are always long side. And they're having so much joy at the moment. They've been doing it. They added it in, I think, against the Dogs a few weeks ago. Renault, I haven't seen Renault play those games, play that style for a year. He hasn't been playing that for a long time. I haven't really seen Renault play those double leads much through his career. And it's been an obvious change over the last month. So there's definitely a strategy change to how they wanted to attack, and it's working for him. It's giving Ezra heaps more room out on that left or right edge on the return long side. He's causing them absolute havoc, and whether it's off Ezra or Adam Reynolds, they're scoring heaps of joy, having heaps of joy off double leads. They won the game against. Was it the Dogs game when Ezra
when they come back to beat the Dogs? Yeah, they laid on the 2 tries. They went double lead out the back, and then Ezra hit the wide lead. Then the second time he hit the thing. But what the double lead does so you've got Renault here and then the double lead, it stops up nearly 3 defenders, but it stops these guys from shooting because then all of a sudden you can play the double lead, and the play used by Mitch Orbo was the out ball. So the double lead and one guy goes out or one guy goes in. That it's freeing up their footy, and obviously now Ben Hunt back in 9, he becomes a threat because you can't. Obviously, they're always a threat. I'm going to give a special mention to Billy Walters now and talk about 9s. He's been not the difference because they've been winning when he's come on, but he's broke the game apart in both times. Last week was the same when he come on against the Dogs, scores a try in his 100th game. Same again this weekend. Comes on, fakes one way, jumps out, shows and goes, gets in beyond the great Kieran Foran, which we'll have a mention to about obviously retiring at the end of this season after 17 long seasons, over 300 games. What an unbelievable player. He's been a great hit for our show. Everyone's loved his interview and continues to talk about it. But yeah, the Broncos, they're firing at the right time.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for them was they've obviously got the athleticism, they've got the young legs, they've got the superstar players. It was finding the style that works for them and then obviously playing consistent. And yeah, it was enough for me to bring it up that the last month I've noticed a huge change. I think everyone has. But there's been a distinct difference to their attacking systems. And as you said, Billy Walters goes through with a wide A marker loose back into the game to win. Benny Hunt's going to start doing that out of dummy half because they got the threat across the park now with genuine shape, genuine speed and genuine leads. It's going to start to open up Carrigan and Payne Haas through the middle. It's going to start to open up Benny Hunt and Billy Walters out of dummy half and isolate a lot of their big bodies on one-on-ones. And the other thing too, Tony Staggs, he's started to play that rep footy style of footy that we know him as at his best. And I think it's due to the style of footy as well. He's getting isolated more with room. They move him the ball. They move the ball to him more like they used to do with. You think about the Broncos teams historically when they had Renouf and Lockyer and all that. They'd always shift out of yardage. Justin Hodges, Israel Folau. They always had big, strong outside backs, and they'd move the ball in yardage with space, and that's what they're doing again now with Tony Staggs. I want to give a mention to Chris Randall too in the back row for Titans. I played with Chrissy Randall, he's a mate of mine at Newcastle, great guy, just a good clubman, and he's carved a really good career. He's sort of a reserve grade type player when I was at Newcastle. He got a few first grade games. He's gone on and had a great career at the Titans, and he's been playing the back row. He's a small body, but fuck, he competes. So he was awesome. Jojo Fafita too, 2 tries, but yeah, Chrissy Randall, I love watching him play. It was a close game in the end, 20-14 before Billy scored.
Yeah, well, they were coming back. They were on the comeback. JJ Fair scored 2 tries and they had an opportunity to score again. Then Broncos go at the end of the field and Billy Walters scores and obviously breaks the back. But it's a mystery what's going on at the club. Obviously, there's talk that Desi's on the way at the end of the year. Obviously, they now know Kieran's retiring. They need a bit of a rebuild and not sure where they go to, but it'll be interesting to see. Well, obviously, we said at the end of the show we're going to talk about the top 8 and where it's at. And as we said, the top 8, which we're looking at, we can probably talk about the top 12. So they've got the Canberra Raiders on top, are safe for the top 4. Storm are safe for the top 4. The Dogs are pretty much safe. The Warriors are on 28, and the Broncos are on 5th on 24. So they've got 2 games clear the back end of the season, but the logjam for the top 8 is very tight with 12 on 17 points. And then they can run down either as far as Manly from 7th. I think the top 6 now is nearly clear, and then below that is anyone's ball game. Where do you see it finishing?
From outside, I can see Cronulla making a run for it, potentially. The rest of them, I think... I'm surprised Manly, as I've said that last show we spoke about Manly. I'm surprised where Manly is sitting on the ladder, even though they had a big win last week. I thought they were further down the ladder, but Manly, if I can see a change, it could potentially be Cronulla and Manly, I reckon, maybe. I just think, Dragons, I think Roosters are going to be home and hose in front of Dragons. I can't see Dragons coming up with any mad back end of season form. For me, it's Cronulla maybe swapping around with Manly and Manly potentially having a drop. I'm still not sold on Manly. I'm not sold on them. As I said, I was surprised that they were there, and I'm not sold on them yet. But if they can, yeah. And I think Roosters will get a start in the 8. I'm not sure where they'll finish, but I think they'll get a start. I think they'll be good enough to finish in the 8. I don't think they'll drop off. I think their best footy's still ahead of them.
What do you think, Toddy? Do you think you see any changes?
Yeah, I think I see. Well, the Broncos will jump into the top 8. Sorry, not the Broncos. The Broncos are 5th. The Sharks will go into the top 8. I think also the Roosters. So Manly will go out. Sharks will go in.
Manly gone.
The Roosters will hold 8th spot.
Yeah. So you're both saying the same thing, really. Yeah. No one's sold on Manly.
It's a tough one. But there's plenty of teams fighting for that spot. It'll be interesting to see how it goes, but it's important to get wins, and they need wins now.
It's an exciting couple of weeks coming up.
Can't do a big lift off the back of Dearden.
Nah.
Dearden's not enough for the Cows at the moment.
Dearden's enough. I just think defensively.
Too far down.
We just said it was their first time they've ever kept anyone to 2 tries all season. So unless they recap that every week and Dearden goes close to winning Dally M, they may. But nah, I don't think that's going to happen.
All right, that's a round 19 review wrap, done and dusted.
Good chat, boys. Ew.